This is the Omega Seamaster Planet Ocean, and I have the blue dial done in blue ceramic with the blue ceramic bezel insert and liquid metal indexing in that bezel. This is on the stainless steel bracelet, and I'll begin this presentation by placing the dimensions and the specifications here on the screen. And I'd like to talk about the way it wears, because it wears a bit deceptively. So 43.5 millimeters in case diameter, and a ridiculous 16.1 overall case height. So just looking at that, you might think that this is just such a chunky watch on wrist that it might become cumbersome and unwearable. But I'd like to say that that's not the case. This is surprisingly wearable. And for reference, my wrists are 7.25 inches in circumference. And I would say if you have a 7-inch wrist or larger, this is not going to be an issue whatsoever. Again, it is surprisingly wearable, but don't get me wrong, it is a hefty watch, and you have to enjoy a slightly larger wearing dominant presence on wrist. If you like that, you're really going to like the Planet Ocean. If you can wear a Seamaster Professional 300, you could easily wear this Planet Ocean 8900. And I think if you like the Seamaster 300, this just wears a bit more dominantly. It's a little bit taller and it's a little bit heftier. This will have a flat ceramic dial with a nice reflective finish. It's a good backdrop for your polished trapezoidal applied markers and the polished Arabic markers that are mixed in areas. I think this is a very symmetrical watch that looks sharp. There's nice light play, and you notice the details because of the domed sapphire crystal and the dual applied anti-reflective coatings on the top of the crystal as well as the underside of the crystal. Now the bezel, I mentioned we have liquid metal indexing mixed with ceramic for the main base material. Liquid metal is fancy speak for a blend of various materials of titanium, zirconium, and copper. And this liquid metal technology ends up being 3 times harder than stainless steel. So you can get nice contrast with your either polished or brushed ceramic, and it's still going to be very scratch resistant. Now, I will say that the bezel action is as nice of an action as I felt in a watch that retails for about this price, $6,700. It's a very quiet action with a pleasant mechanical feel and no backplay in the bezel. It is nicer than any other Omega bezel action that I have experienced with their modern dive watches. Now, the movement within is what is referred to as the Omega Coaxial Caliber 8900. This has a machine arabesque pattern or finish found throughout, and that's on the rotor, that's on the bridges, that's on the main plate, and I think it looks very attractive. Now, as far as specs go for the movement, there will be a free-sprung balance, a silicone hairspring, 39 separate jewels, and a beat rate of 25,200 times every hour. This will have hours, minutes, seconds, a date, and my favorite practical complication, the jumping time zone hour hand. So you will not have a quick set date with this, but you will have that more practical jumping hour hand. This is METIS certified, so it goes through 8 very strict tests. It's anti-magnetic to 15,000 Gauss and will be very dialed in when it comes to the accuracy. And I neglected to mention that this will carry 60 hours of power reserve. Now let's go to the Lume shot. This has bitone Lume, and I love this in low light. It's very legible. I like the bitone Lume. There is good potency and there is good longevity. Now I love the broad hour hand design, and I look at this and I see some elements from the most popular Seamaster that was introduced back in the 1960s. So this is kind of a modern homage to the most popular Seamaster. Not the first Seamaster, but the one that everybody really appreciates. So I like that evolution of the design, and I like the fact that this is the 3rd generation of that modern Planet Ocean that was introduced back in 2005. This 3rd gen has been in production since 2016, so it is likely due for an update soon, and I'm excited to see what Omega does with the update. Are we just going to see a few different tweaks to the dial, possibly to the movement? Are we going to see a Lume ceramic bezel as standard like they do with their white dial and orange bezel variation? I'm not sure, but I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do. And if I can make any suggestion, just for nostalgia's sake, I would love to see the return of the Open 6s and Open 9s. So I've owned a couple different versions of the Planet Ocean, the prior generations, but I have yet to own this third gen, and I'm coming really close. I think I need that white dial orange bezel. I've toyed with that for the past couple years, but it is a great model. What are the negative elements? Well, it's hard to say because it does have a quick adjust clasp. It does have a nice tapering bracelet. It does have great clarity, great bezel action, a great movement. I mean, you look at this and there really isn't anything that is glaringly negative outside of the fact that it might be too large for some watch collectors that prefer a more traditional sport size. Again, this is a hefty watch coming in over 200 grams in overall weight and over 16 millimeters in overall height. Again, don't let that fool you. If you like this design, you could absolutely pull this off with a 7-inch wrist or greater. Below that, I would encourage you to go to an authorized dealer, try it on, and see if it works. You might be surprised, or it might confirm to you that it's just too dominant. That being said, thank you to Exquisite Timepieces for loaning this one in for review. I'll place all relevant links and recommendations in the description of the video. And please reach out with any questions you may have. I'd be happy to try to answer those questions. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.